Congratulations. The fact that you are hearing this message right now is more meaningful than it seems. Something unusual is unfolding during the 72-hour shift between April 14 and April 15, and only a small number of people are paying attention. These short windows of time have appeared throughout history, often quietly, often overlooked, yet they have marked the beginning of sudden clarity, unexpected decisions, and life-changing turning points. Many people move through these hours without noticing anything different. Yet you found this message during the exact moment when awareness begins to rise. There are periods when the world feels ordinary, and then there are moments when something shifts beneath the surface. These 72 hours carry a pattern that researchers and behavioral analysts have quietly observed. During short, concentrated windows like this, people tend to experience sharper thinking, emotional clarity, and a stronger urge to make changes they have delayed for months or even years. Lesser-known studies on decision-making cycles suggest that people are far more likely to take meaningful action when they encounter new information during these narrow time frames. The timing matters, the awareness matters, and the fact that you arrived here during this specific shift matters. Something important is happening right now. Many will scroll past. Many will dismiss the feeling that something feels different, yet a small group of people will notice a subtle pull toward reflection, growth, and direction. This video explains why this happens, what signs begin to appear during this 72-hour shift, and how these quiet moments often lead to decisions that shape the next chapter of life. There are also lesser-known patterns connected to mid-month cycles like April 14 and April 15, where momentum quietly builds before sudden breakthroughs. These moments rarely announce themselves loudly. They arrive quietly, almost unnoticed, until clarity begins to take hold. By staying until the end of this video, you will understand why certain thoughts may appear more strongly during these hours, why motivation suddenly increases, and why this brief period can influence decisions far beyond these 72 hours. You will also learn how people who recognize these shifts early often move forward while others remain stuck in routine. This is a calm moment, yet it carries urgency. These hours pass quickly, and awareness during this time can create meaningful direction. You found this during the 72-hour shift for a reason. Something is aligning, something is becoming clearer, and in the next few minutes you will begin to understand why this moment matters more than it appears. Welcome to our channel, where we explore hidden patterns, overlooked timing, and the quiet moments that shape real change. If you are ready to stay aware during this shift and discover insights that most people miss, subscribe to the channel and join us as we move deeper into what is unfolding right now. There are moments when information appears at a time that feels unusually precise. This happens more often than people realize. Timing plays a quiet but powerful role in how messages are received, understood, and remembered. A person can hear the same idea many times, yet it only begins to make sense when the mind becomes ready to absorb it. This is why certain videos, conversations, or thoughts seem ordinary at one point and deeply meaningful at another. The difference is not always in the message itself, but in the moment when it is discovered. Right now, during this 72-hour shift between April 14 and April 15, many people are experiencing a subtle change in awareness. Thoughts that once felt distant are beginning to feel closer. Questions that were ignored are slowly returning. This shift often unfolds quietly, without dramatic signals, yet the internal movement becomes difficult to ignore. Across different studies in behavioral psychology, researchers have observed that people tend to become more reflective during short windows of mental transition. These transitions often happen around specific dates, life events, or even periods of emotional fatigue. During these times, individuals begin to reassess routines, priorities, and long-term direction. The process rarely begins with a sudden decision. Instead, it starts with a quiet awareness that something feels different. A routine that once felt comfortable begins to feel limiting. Goals that once seemed distant begin to feel urgent. These changes often appear gradually, building beneath the surface before becoming visible. This is also why people often discover certain messages when they are ready to hear them. The mind becomes more open to ideas that previously seemed unimportant. Small details gain meaning. Patterns begin to stand out. A person may notice thoughts returning more frequently or feel a growing sense that change is approaching. This shift in awareness does not always arrive with excitement. Sometimes it appears as calm reflection, sometimes it appears as restlessness. Sometimes it appears as curiosity about new directions. Each of these signals points toward the same quiet movement. During this period, more people begin questioning their current path. This questioning does not always come from dissatisfaction alone. It often emerges from growth. When awareness expands, people naturally begin to evaluate their choices. They think about where they are going, how they are spending their time, and what they truly want to build. This process unfolds gently, almost unnoticed at first. Change often begins in silence, in moments of thought, in brief pauses during routine. Over time, those quiet moments begin to shape new direction, and the timing of discovering something meaningful during this shift becomes part of that unfolding process. The 72-hour shift refers to a short yet meaningful window of time where mental and emotional patterns begin to change more quickly than usual. These brief periods often pass quietly, yet they carry a noticeable shift in how people think, feel, and respond to their surroundings. During these hours, the mind becomes more open, and thoughts that once felt unclear begin to settle into place. A person may wake up with a stronger sense of awareness, noticing small details that previously went unnoticed. This kind of shift does not always come with dramatic events. It often unfolds through subtle changes in perception, where everyday experiences begin to feel slightly different, more focused, more intentional. Researchers in behavioral science have long observed that short windows of time can influence decision-making and emotional clarity. When mental fatigue builds over days or weeks, the mind eventually moves into a reset phase. This reset can happen over a concentrated period, allowing thoughts to reorganize and priorities to become clearer. During the 72-hour shift, many people experience sudden realizations that seem to appear without warning. Ideas that felt confusing begin to make sense. Questions that lingered in the background begin to demand attention. These realizations often arrive quietly, sometimes during ordinary moments such as a walk, a conversation, or even a pause between daily tasks. Alongside these realizations, unexpected motivation can begin to surface. Tasks that once felt difficult begin to feel manageable. Goals that seemed distant begin to feel closer. This motivation does not always appear as excitement. Sometimes it arrives as calm determination, a steady feeling that it is time to move forward. People may notice a stronger desire to organize their thoughts, revisit plans, or consider new directions. This shift in motivation often develops naturally, without external pressure, as if something within is guiding attention toward growth. Another common experience during this 72-hour period is a subtle feeling of difference that is difficult to explain. A person may sense that something has changed even though nothing obvious has occurred. The mind may feel quieter, more focused, or more reflective. Routine activities may carry a new sense of awareness. Conversations may feel more meaningful. Thoughts about the future may appear more frequently. This feeling often emerges gradually, building throughout the shift, shaping how decisions are considered and how possibilities are viewed. These quiet changes create a mental and emotional reset, allowing clarity to increase in ways that feel natural rather than forced. As the hours move forward, thoughts continue to reorganize and awareness continues to grow, creating a space where new ideas and directions begin to take shape. Some periods carry a different kind of weight, even when everything on the surface appears the same. These moments feel heavier, more noticeable, as though time is moving with greater intention. During the 72-hour shift, many people begin to sense this quiet pressure building. Thoughts that once drifted in the background begin to stay longer. Decisions that were postponed begin to return with greater urgency. The mind starts to focus more deeply, and everyday distractions begin to lose their hold. This shift does not always come with sudden change, yet it creates an internal movement that becomes difficult to ignore. A person may notice longer moments of reflection or a growing awareness of how time is being spent. Small details begin to stand out, and choices that once felt easy begin to carry more meaning. As this period unfolds, people often feel gently pushed toward decisions they have been avoiding. This push does not feel rushed or forced. Instead, it appears as a quiet sense that it is time to move forward. Plans that remained uncertain begin to take shape. Conversations that were delayed begin to feel necessary. Thoughts about the future become more present, and the mind naturally begins to sort through priorities. This internal movement often leads to increased focus. Tasks that once felt scattered begin to align. Attention becomes sharper, and it becomes easier to concentrate on what truly matters. The noise of routine begins to fade, allowing space for clearer thinking. At the same time, emotional clarity begins to grow. Feelings that once seemed confusing begin to make more sense. A person may understand their reactions more clearly or notice patterns in behavior that were previously overlooked. This clarity often creates a calm awareness rather than intense emotion. It becomes easier to recognize what feels meaningful and what no longer holds the same importance. Old habits begin to lose power during this stage. Routines that once felt automatic begin to feel less compelling. Repeated behaviors that once filled time begin to appear unnecessary. This shift happens gradually as awareness increases and attention moves toward change. With this growing clarity, a natural desire for change begins to develop. This desire does not always appear as bold action. Sometimes it begins as quiet intention, a subtle willingness to move in a new direction. A person may begin to think differently about their goals, their time, and their choices. These thoughts often appear during calm moments, building slowly as the 72-hour shift continues. The sense of heaviness transforms into focused awareness, shaping how decisions are approached and how new possibilities begin to emerge. During this shift, awareness often increases in quiet ways. Small details begin to stand out more than usual. Conversations feel deeper. Time feels more noticeable. You may catch yourself thinking more carefully before responding. Your attention moves inward. Thoughts become clearer. Distractions feel less interesting. You begin to notice how you spend your day. You notice how certain habits affect your mood. Even ordinary moments start to feel more meaningful. This kind of awareness grows gradually, without any obvious reason. It simply begins to appear. Thinking about the future also becomes more frequent during this period. Plans that once felt distant begin to feel closer. You may start thinking about where you want to be in a few months. You may reflect on goals that you paused or ignored. These thoughts can appear during calm moments, while walking, while working, while sitting quietly. Your mind starts exploring possibilities. You may feel a gentle pull towards something new. You may begin considering changes that once felt difficult. The future begins to feel more present. Your attention slowly shifts forward. Questioning your routine is another common sign. Activities that once felt automatic begin to feel repetitive. You may start wondering whether your daily habits are helping you grow. You notice patterns that repeat every day. You notice where your energy goes. Some routines begin to feel less meaningful, others begin to feel more important. You may feel a desire to change small things, wake up earlier, spend time differently, focus on something that brings value. These thoughts appear quietly without pressure. They develop naturally as awareness increases. Wanting to improve your life also begins to surface during this shift. This feeling does not always arrive as excitement. Sometimes it appears as calm motivation. You may feel a stronger interest in learning. You may want to organize your thoughts. You may begin thinking about better choices. Small improvements start to feel important. You may feel more patient with long-term goals. You may feel more open to change. This desire builds slowly, shaped by clarity and reflection. These signs often appear together. Increased awareness leads to thoughts about the future. Thoughts about the future lead to questions about routine. Questions about routine create a desire for improvement. The shift unfolds quietly, shaping how you think, how you feel, and how you begin to see your direction during these 72 hours. Finding this message during this specific moment often reflects a quiet sense of alignment that builds over time. People move through different phases of thought and awareness, and during certain periods, the mind becomes more open to ideas that once passed unnoticed. During the 72-hour shift, many individuals begin searching for clarity without fully realizing it. This search does not always happen intentionally. Sometimes it appears as curiosity. Sometimes it appears as a feeling that something is changing. Thoughts become more reflective, and attention begins to move toward meaning and direction. When this happens, people naturally begin to notice information that matches their current state of mind. This is often when messages like this appear. A person may scroll through content as usual, yet something about this moment feels different. The timing feels precise. The message feels relevant. This happens because awareness and information begin to align. When someone begins looking for answers, even quietly, the mind becomes more attentive. Small signals stand out more clearly. Ideas that once felt distant begin to feel personal. This creates a natural connection between the viewer and the message appearing at this time. The experience feels calm yet meaningful, as if the right information arrived at the right moment. During this period, many people are thinking more deeply about their direction. Questions begin forming about goals, priorities, and future choices. These thoughts often appear gradually. A person may notice a growing desire to understand their next step. They may feel drawn toward reflection or learning. This internal search shapes how information is perceived. When the mind is searching, it becomes more responsive to meaningful ideas. The appearance of this video during the search becomes part of that process. The timing connects with the viewer's current awareness, creating a sense that this moment carries purpose. This alignment often unfolds quietly. There may be no dramatic event, yet the feeling remains noticeable. The viewer arrives during a narrow window when thoughts are shifting and attention is expanding. Many people move through these hours without noticing the change. Others begin to sense it even in small ways. The discovery of this message during this shift reflects how timing influences awareness. The mind searches, clarity begins to form, and information appears during that search, shaping how the moment is experienced and understood. During moments like this, clarity often begins to form in quiet and gradual ways. Thoughts that once felt scattered begin to organize themselves. A person may notice that decisions become easier to consider. The mind feels calmer, allowing ideas to settle instead of rushing past. This clarity does not always arrive suddenly. It builds through reflection, through brief pauses in routine, and through a growing awareness of what feels meaningful. As the 72-hour shift continues, many people begin to see their situation from a different perspective. Things that once felt confusing start to make more sense. Priorities begin to shift. Attention moves toward what truly matters. As clarity increases, people often begin rethinking their goals. Plans that were created months or years earlier may no longer feel aligned with current thoughts. Some goals begin to feel more important, while others begin to lose their urgency. This process unfolds naturally. A person may start asking quiet questions about their direction. They may think about whether their daily actions support their long-term vision. These reflections often appear during calm moments, shaping how the future is viewed. New possibilities begin to enter the mind. Previous limitations begin to feel less fixed. The future starts to look more flexible, shaped by choice rather than routine. During these moments, small but meaningful decisions often begin to take shape. These decisions rarely appear as dramatic changes. Instead, they develop through subtle adjustments. A person may decide to focus on learning something new. They may choose to change how they spend their time. They may begin planning steps toward a goal that once felt distant. These small decisions create movement. Over time, they begin to influence larger outcomes. Transformation often begins in these quiet adjustments, where awareness leads to action in simple ways. This period also brings a sense of internal movement. Thoughts about growth become more consistent. A person may feel drawn toward improvement without feeling pressure. The mind begins to consider better habits, clearer priorities, and stronger direction. These ideas develop gradually, shaped by clarity and reflection. Each small decision adds to this transformation, building momentum as the 72-hour shift continues. The process remains calm and steady, with awareness guiding how thoughts evolve and how new directions begin to form. The next 72 hours hold a quiet opportunity that moves gently rather than quickly. Time during this period tends to feel more noticeable, as if each hour carries a little more meaning than usual. This does not create pressure, yet it encourages awareness. A person may begin to notice how they spend their time more carefully. Small choices start to feel more important. Thoughts about direction appear more often, guiding attention toward what feels meaningful. These hours pass naturally, yet they create space for reflection and steady movement forward. During this window, awareness often becomes sharper. A person may notice how certain habits influence their mood. They may recognize which activities bring energy and which ones create distraction. These observations happen quietly without forcing change. The mind simply begins to observe more closely. This calm awareness allows space for thoughtful decisions. Small adjustments begin to feel easier. A person may choose to spend a few minutes planning. They may decide to organize ideas that have been forming. These actions remain simple, yet they begin to shape momentum. Limited time within these 72 hours creates a gentle sense of focus. There is no rush, yet there is a subtle understanding that this window will pass. This often encourages people to pay attention to their thoughts and feelings while they are clear. A person may begin writing down ideas. They may reflect on goals that feel more relevant. They may consider steps that move them closer to growth. These small actions develop naturally, guided by awareness rather than urgency. During this period, even minor decisions can feel meaningful. A person may choose to learn something new. They may begin thinking differently about their routine. They may spend time considering what truly matters. These moments of awareness often create quiet transformation. The mind begins to move toward clarity, and each small step adds to that movement. The opportunity within these 72 hours appears through calm reflection and steady intention. As time continues, awareness deepens, thoughts remain focused, small actions continue to shape direction. These hours unfold quietly, allowing reflection to guide progress and encouraging gentle movement toward meaningful change. There are quiet shifts that pass through everyday life without drawing attention. These moments do not arrive with noise or sudden change. They appear softly, often hidden within ordinary routines. Many people experience them without realizing anything is different. A brief thought appears, a feeling of reflection surfaces, or a sense of awareness grows for a short time. Then routine returns and the moment fades. Daily responsibilities take over again. Distractions fill the space. The subtle awareness that once appeared slowly disappears beneath familiar patterns. This happens more often than people notice. The shift comes and goes quietly, leaving only a faint sense that something felt different for a short time. For many, these moments are easy to overlook. Life continues at the same pace, and routine offers comfort. Familiar habits feel easier to follow. A person may sense a brief desire for change, yet the feeling feels distant once the day becomes busy again. Thoughts about growth or direction begin to fade. The mind returns to automatic patterns. This return to routine happens naturally, without intention. The quiet shift remains unnoticed, and the opportunity within those moments slowly passes. Nothing dramatic changes, yet something meaningful remains unexplored. At the same time, some people respond differently when these quiet shifts appear. They notice the small feeling of awareness. They pay attention to the thoughts that begin to surface. Even if the feeling is subtle, they allow themselves to reflect. These individuals may take small pauses during their day. They may spend a few moments thinking about their direction. These actions remain simple, yet they create a different experience. Awareness stays present a little longer. Thoughts become clearer. The quiet shift begins to shape how they see their routine. This difference often begins in small ways. One person moves through the moment without noticing. Another person slows down and listens to the feeling of change. The quiet shift continues to unfold through awareness, reflection, and gentle intention. A sense of emotional connection begins to develop as people recognize that these moments are part of their personal growth. The feeling becomes familiar, calm, and meaningful. The shift remains quiet, yet for those who notice, it begins to influence how they think, how they feel, and how they move forward during these hours. Congratulations once again. Out of countless moments, you arrived here during a quiet shift that many people pass without noticing. Something within you paused long enough to listen, to reflect, and to recognize that this period carries a different kind of energy. These 72 hours may appear ordinary on the surface, yet the awareness you experience throughout this time reflects something meaningful. Thoughts became clearer, attention moved inward, small realizations began to take shape. These are the moments where change often begins quietly and steadily. Many people continue through their routine without giving these moments space, yet you stayed, you listened, and you allowed yourself to reflect. That alone creates a difference. Awareness grows through small pauses, through calm observation, and through the willingness to notice subtle shifts. During this period, you may find yourself thinking differently about your direction, your priorities, and your time. These thoughts do not need to be rushed. They simply need space to develop naturally. Reflection during moments like this often leads to clarity that unfolds over time. As these 72 hours continue, allow yourself to stay aware of the thoughts that appear. Pay attention to what feels meaningful. Notice what draws your focus. Sometimes the most important shifts begin quietly, in brief moments of clarity that shape future decisions. The changes may feel small at first, yet they build steadily, guiding direction in ways that only become clear later. Calm awareness during this time allows transformation to develop without pressure, creating space for thoughtful movement forward. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to support the channel by liking this video. Your support helps bring these reflections to more people who may also be experiencing their own quiet shift. And if you want to continue exploring these meaningful moments, subscribe to our channel and become part of a growing community that values awareness, reflection, and personal growth. This moment may seem small, it may pass quietly like many others, yet sometimes the smallest moments create the deepest change, and awareness during a brief shift can shape a path that unfolds far beyond these 72 hours.